I'm not sure if it's showing up, but this is as the spotting, the bluing gets less and less on the master. I scraped a bit of this down here, but with my light source here, and again I find it easier with just a single light source and not a lot of background lighting. But you can see this is a shiny spot surrounded with some blue, and that is an indication of a high spot. And you can see the reflections through this section right here as I move the camera, and it's not the best. But so this cycle here, what I'm trying to do is just hit those spots. You can see the bluing is it's starting to show a bit of bearing quality, and the idea is that you arrive at the right geometry, the right flatness, and the right bearing quality all at the same time. So the blue's coming off the master, so it's giving you some good indications of some high spots. So I'm just going to run a couple of cycles just getting those high spots at this point. Just wanted to show this. So this is the master for scraping, and you can't leave the bluing on it. I think it's water based, because you leave it on there, it starts to dry out and then it'll rust it. So just starting another, this evening, tomorrow, a couple 3 days with this bluing. I try to keep it cleaner and reuse it for a couple days. But so as you put the bluing on, if you put it on too thick, this is an initial coating on here, and if you look, this is for the column way. And if you look, you can see all the way along the length of the master, it's showing up that the column, the fixed way side of the column, is actually in contact. And then if you look at the actual column on the Bridgeport itself, if you're not careful, it's hard to see, but there's bluing showing up across the whole column. When in actuality, the last time we were scraping was, we were scraping about 12 inches here at the top, and then there was a gap. We were starting to close in about 6 inches in here, and then 12 or 18 inches at the bottom was starting to come in. So we still had a little bit of a dip here. So you have to be aware of how much bluing you've got on there, and is it giving you a false reading. So if you were to scrape everything here now, you would be scraping in at the same profile. So what would happen is you would just lower everything, and you wouldn't get rid of the dip that's actually there. So in this case here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe all this bluing off and try and you just keep working the bluing on the master to thin it out, so you get actual readings on high spots instead of false readings like what we got here. At this point, we've got the column back on its back, rotate that around, and we got the knee sitting up on the column. So the This is the column. This is the column way, and this is the fixed way side of the column. This is looking from the top down. And what I've got is, first time I did it with a square on the jack screw pad there, and over 8 inches of travel with the knee. I had 2 thou movement. Well, it shows in the Colony Machine Tool Reconditioning book that I got to get a bigger square, and I'm going to bridge across the ways for the saddle just to make sure. But just as a little test here, I put the square on the top of the knee, and got each division on this is 10 microns. So I'm going to traverse probably 6 or 8 inches. We'll traverse and see what we get there. Brought it back up to the top there. Make sure it's up against the fixed way side, and then we're just gonna traverse. That's about, looks like about 20 microns. I don't have the gib in right now, so at this point, that's it's showing heavy as we traverse down along the column. So we got to figure out, got to make sure I get the plan on how to trying to keep that straightened out, get that straightened out, I should say. So I got a, this is a big Starrett, it's a number 20 I think. Borrowed it. Yeah, it's like 26 and a half inches there. And I had previously just had this square sitting across the ways for the saddle. Had a couple of 1, 2, 3 blocks on either side, so I bridged across this non-scrape surface here and verified the fixed way side. Again, I'm running about, actually it's 20 microns total across the whole travel of the knee, which it's about 13 or 14 inches of travel that I'm using to measure that. So what I've done now is I've turned this square, I've got it clamped to the way for the saddle, and now what I'm checking is how flat are the 2 column ways. Again, we've got the column sitting on its back right now, so I'm just going to run, I'm going to zoom in on the indicator here. I think I'm about the same, I'm about under 1 thou, it's about 20 microns right now. this is coming back now. This is about 14 inches of travel. And I knocked it there. I don't have a give in. I'm just pushing this up against the fixed column side. Try and zero that, and then we'll just move it one way right now.